Nomad did it again. They brought out a super cool guessing game, a super cool themed palette, and this time it is the Chicago Speakeasy palette that is inspired by the time of the Prohibition, you know, the alcohol thing, and we have a color story that is all based around this famous time in Chicago and all the vibes that has been going on back then. So here you have the outside of the cardboard packaging. It is a beautiful design, but I highly appreciate that this design is not printed on the palette. We have this red and gold velvet squishy palette, and I really enjoy this. So let me read that to you. A cocktail inspired by warm liquors, decadent decors, and vibrant garnishes, all formulated with our extra fine pigments to give a smooth feel and rich payoff. Served with a dash of grenadine, the formula is infused with pomegranate seed oil to help skin soft as the knocks and passwords spoken easy. 10 indulgent mattes and 5 exquisite multi-chromes showcasing the clandestine Chicago speakeasies. And if you were one of the first 100 orders or so, you got this postcard with it. And usually I don't pay attention to these postcards because, I mean, it's a cool photo and you basically have the same text on the back as you have on the palette, but this time you have something more. It says on the postcard, password please, enter and relax at the cozy Chicago spots as the windy city cools down for fall. We hope you enjoy crafting the perfect cocktail for colors of your bespoke speakeasy look. Thank you for all your support, Felicia and Annette, Nomad co-founders. And then it says, come enjoy a little something extra with us as the Nomad Speakeasy. And then there is a web address, nomadspeakeasy.com. So here you have the website now, and it says, knock and speakeasy password tip. Rearrange the letter in the shade embossings all in one word, all capitals. And when you click there, you have the guest areas. Please enter the password down below. And if you took a closer look at the palette, this time there are letters on there. So the mattes are all embossed with letters. We have HNBIT, BUGTA. This is now very embarrassing. I spent now at least 15 or 20 minutes to find out what this is. The problem is, I am not a native English speaker. I have no fucking clue what is in this. So, I googled now. I used ChatGPT and I don't get the solution. So, asking for help here. Please, if you have the solution, can you either DM it to me because I really want to see what's on that website, or can you please write it down in the comments below? So I think others will be also very thankful for that, because on the Nomad Instagram page, nobody posted the code, no fucking body, nobody in the review did this. So I'm honestly now a bit pissed. ChatGPT, they said bathtub, for example, or habit tooting. It was like really weird. So, oh wait. Okay, it doesn't help. So that M here in the center has sadly already worn off because of the way you use these. So please help me finding out what's on that freaking website. But now let's talk about the shades in general. So this time I did a swatch only of the matte to show you them. And while I think these mattes are very pretty, I think that green is just super misplaced. I wear it in this look and it's here on the inner part of the lower lashes, and I do not like it. That is the only shade in this palette, so like a preview from a final review, that I really do not like. I do understand why it's in there. It kind of makes sense, and I have seen looks with this palette where they just used that green in the most beautiful ways, but it's just my personal preference to not like greens that I feel like this is a bit misplaced. For the 5 shades in the center row, these are all multi-chromes / actually holographic chromes. So they are very pretty. They do have a nice sparkle. On the picture, you didn't see it that much, so that's why, of course, I did a phone flash video again. That is definitely it. You get two looks. So the first look will be with the warmer half of this palette, and I can already tell you we are struggling there, and that is not the fault of the palette. But the second look, this is what I'm wearing here, is made with that side of the palette. So now, without any more rambling, I think you saw enough. Just a cry for help. Please help me to find out what that freaking password is. And yeah, let's head into the looks. So I take the shade Prohibition, and this just screams for transition color. I now tap into the Absinthe House and apply this in the crease. Next up, I go into Windy City, and that one I start to blend in the inner crease, and I bring it towards the center and slightly above. And I also go into the Drunken Goat, and that one I apply in the outer V area. And with whatever is left, I apply it in the crease and connect it with the reddish shade. I applied my glitter glue, and now I go into Boulevardier, I hope I'm not butchering that word, and apply this on half of my lid. I went in with all the lid, and I just leave this part bare. To keep up with the warm theming that I have, I will be using the Be My BB liner from Colourpop and line my waterline with that. I then go into Windy City, and that one I smudge across the lower lash line. I will be not incorporating the green today. I then go into the Absinthe House again and use this to smooth out any edges. And now I tap into Gin Ricky and apply this as inner corner highlight. And then I also use that shade to fill in that tiny bare part that I left. And then I just flick it outwards to mix it in with the Boulevardier shade. And here we have the first finished look. On the lips, I'm wearing the Hindash lip liner in the shade Hush, and I topped it off with Pillow Talk Blur from Charlotte Tilbury. I think this is a me thing. So for the next look, I will be using a different glitter glue, but the shade on my lid is lifting. And I'm not only talking like it has been creasing already, which can happen. That's fine. I don't have a problem to just smooth it out again. But it lifted. There are like specks of that missing. I tried to photograph this and insert it here. If there is no photo, I was not able to. It is so weird, but I am 100% sure that this is because of my glitter glue, because I have experienced this with some very specific formulated shades already. I'm using the Suetne glitter glue. This is basically a clear, yeah, it's like a brow soap, but you do not activate it with water. It is sticky. This works the best with any flaky things. But the multi-chromes or the duochromes that you have in the Chicago Speakeasy palette are very, very smooth. So I think it is the glitter glue. So for look number 2, I will be using a different one, and if that is just the case, then I'm good. So for look number 2, I will be using a different glitter glue and the other side of the palette. Now for the second part of the palette, I start with the Drifter and apply this above the crease as my transition color. I then go into Violet Hour and apply this in the crease for the first depth here. I then tap into Blind Pig, start to blend this in the middle, bringing it in the inner part of the crease, and then I swipe it out. And then I use Knock and Speakeasy, which by the way has some teeny tiny shimmers in it. And that one I apply on the outer crease part and drag it to the lashes. So I now apply a different glitter glue. This is the NYX glitter glue. I'm very curious how much of a difference that makes now. And I first go into Aviation, apply this on the outer half of my lid. No lifting so far, so it is a glitter glue problem. Now I tap into South Side and use this to fill in the rest of the lid. And where they both meet, I just swipe South Side outwards to create my gradient. I'm skipping the liner today, and I go straight into Knock and Speakeasy and apply this here on the outer half of my lower lash line. I then go into the Violet Hour. I start to blend this in the center and then outwards, not inwards, because I now go into the Green Mill and I use this on the inner part of the lower lash line. I now tap into Capone with an angled brush. I do a small winged liner here, a shadow liner. I now go into Chicago Fizz and apply this as inner corner highlight. And here we have now the finished look. Please excuse my hair. It is currently a dry friggin' mess and all I can think of is shaving my head right now. But that's not what we're here for. On the lips for that look, I am wearing the Sephora lip stain liner in Pink Souffle and I topped it off with my beloved Black Honey from Clinique. I truly love the color story in this palette, but with one exception, and that is the green. Honestly, I think this shade of green, this type of green is a bit, for me, for my liking, misplaced, because look at how that green looks on my skin. It looks actually like I'm sick. Maybe it is the placement. I will try it out, of course, again, and then place the green somewhere else if I force myself to. So if I would just now grab this palette on a random day and be like, hey, let's create a look, I would absolutely do everything to avoid the green. So that's actually my biggest critique in this palette. I do understand that the different products that you use to prep an eye, to prep a face can affect the eyeshadow. I am a bit annoyed by the fact that my favorite glitter glue makes this formulation lift, but that I know this is fine. So as you can tell here, nothing has happened. It looks very, very much normal. So the Suet glitter glue is like a true glue. You apply this, you can even touch this with your finger and your finger will stick to it. While the NYX glitter glue, this is more like a cream that you apply, like a regular eyeshadow primer, but it has a bit more stickiness once it dried down. The Suet one is just sticky from the beginning on. Deep down in my heart, I hate that I have to pay attention to this. But I also know it's not the fault of the palette, it's just the formulation of the glitter glue. So maybe I have to put a sticky note inside the palette or so that I do not forget about this. And if we cover the green, you get in the Chicago Speakeasy palette, a palette that has very, very pretty lilac-y, grayish kind of purples and some warm toned browns. It is not revolutionary. Let me tell you that. If you compare this palette to other palettes that Nomad came out with, like the Ghost Town last year, which was my personal surprise love from Nomad last year, or the palette that came before that, which was the Fuji 5 Lakes, that is truly special. What makes this palette stand out against, for example, a Fuji 5 Lakes, are the shimmers, because all of these shimmers are this smooth, velvety, multi/duochrome / actually holochrome shadows. So Aviation and Chicago Fizz, I see the holographic specs in them and I fucking love it. The whole theming of this palette together with the satin squishy packaging here is just on point and I absolutely adore this. I do not regret that I got this myself. I think it is an absolute banger. Again, if this green was not in here, my whole review would be so much more positive, but let me just tell you that is just a very, very personal preference thing because I just, for the sake of my life, do not like greenish eyeshadows. So if we just look at the quality, I think this palette could be a top 4 from Nomad in my collection. Overall, I think it is more like in the 5th place. Again, mainly because of the green and because in my top 3 is a palette that is quality-wise not good, but the design and theming just qualifies it for being at least in the top 3, and that's the Verona Amore e Morte palette. I just love Romeo and Juliet, so I'm a bit biased in that. Now let me know your thoughts down below. Did you pick this up? Are you planning to? What are your thoughts on the Chicago Speakeasy palette? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any cool videos. LMS is just right around the corner. I can't wait for you to see all the videos. Thank you so much and I hope I can see you in the next one.